Hi, everyone. It's Deborah Hamilton, Hamilton Law and Mediation, the Why Do Pets Matter podcast, and of course, this wonderful MAP community. Tonight, we're going to talk about a lot of things. I'm hoping Kieran shows up because we are going to try to get One-Eyed Leo into the AKC's month of responsible ownership, which comes in August. So we're going to try to see if One-Eyed Leo can be included. Both Connie and I are going to give it to our AKC delegates for our breed. We're going to talk about how to socialize your dogs. Post-COVID, a lot of us have either kept our dogs close, me, or got new dogs that didn't really get a lot of socialization. We're going to talk about that. And then finally, we're going to wrap up with, of course, you know that there are the 10 Ds, and one of the Ds stands for disease and disability. And that doesn't necessarily mean you. It may mean someone significantly important to you that you need to help. So these three people who you've put on your list are going to come and help you. And you actually could take care of your dogs, but for the fact that you're taking care of someone who's very special to you. So without further ado, I'm going to check in with Sally and see how everybody's going and see how her two dogs are going now, because she now has my dog Roxy while I live in North Carolina for the first time. Totally out of New York. Very sad. In fact, I piped up when someone asked Jim if he was sad to leave New York, and Jim said no, and I said I am, and he said please don't say that, and I said of course I'm going to say that because I am sad I left New York. I have great friends there, and I have wonderful memories there, but I'm making new memories here. And it's just been really lovely here. I have to say we went to a community meeting of the houses in our development, and everyone was just lovely. Uh, and of course, my husband, who is probably my strongest supporter, told everyone what I do, how I do it, and my podcast and the MAP plan. And I sat there and I said, I should hire you as my publicist. Oh, wait, that's Rose. I don't need you. But thank you, Jim. He says, did you like how I got that in there? I said, yes, honey. I said, I love the neighbors listening to my podcast. Not, but anyway. So it's been really a pretty easy transition. And tonight, I'm here to tell you I arrived safely because last Wednesday I was driving. And after I hung up with you guys, we actually started to do a sing along and dance along in the car for the last 2 hours of the drive. And I was not driving, and Dottie is much smarter than I am. So she was much more level headed. So we had that. And it's been a whirlwind week pretty much because we left on Wednesday last week. So I've been here a week and doctor's appointments. And I'm going to tell you guys up front that there will be no MAP meeting next Wednesday. I'm going in for a replacement part. I'm becoming more bionic. I will have a hip replacement next Wednesday, but I will be back on deck the following Wednesday because I happen, knock on wood, to bounce back from hip replacements really easily. So I'm forecasting that I will be absolutely thrilled. And of course, talking about the MAP plan to everyone, because I know that my MAP plan works beautifully because Sally's MAP plan is working beautifully. So Sally, I'm going to check in with you. How's everything going with the MAP plan and with Gordon's recovery and with the girls being together?
I think all's great. The one thing I noticed talking about COVID and the change in our lifestyles is I didn't realize how much, Athena is accustomed to being with me 24/7 because of COVID. And if I close the door, um, she sits on the other side and cries. And I realized, oh, she's accustomed to being with me 24/7. And if I go to the grocery store and come back, or to the photo lab and come back, both dogs come bounding out on their hind legs and give me hugs. I know you're jealous, Deborah.
I am very jealous.
Oh, two dogs. But I didn't realize that until now. And I'm like, wow, she's used both dog. Well, at least Athena is accustomed to me being there 24/7. So it's a big adjustment when I go out now because Gordon is not doing well. He's, unfortunately he has a tick bite and he's not doing well and recovering. And I leave and the dogs are like, well, wait, you're here 24/7. So it's a interesting balance. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we all are tucking Gordon in our prayers. I'm hoping he's making little micro managed, yeah, strides toward good health, because he's very important to all of us. So, know we have him tucked in our prayers.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Susan, how's everything going with Maggie?
It's going okay. It's been interesting. I'm trying to confine her to certain parts of the house. And I'm also seeing a little bit of what Sally's describing too. If she gets separated, she does start crying. But yeah, last night I tried to keep her out of the bedroom and I had the door closed. Somehow she managed to get it open and she got in the bedroom. So yeah, she's like a little Houdini. If she wants something, there's, you know, it's hard to keep her away. But I'm going to meet with Kathy on Friday. And so I'm hoping that she's going to teach us some good strategies for.
Oh, great. Well, you'll have to report a week from Wednesday. So I
Yeah.
won't be here next Wednesday because I'm having a replacement part put in. I'm having a new hip put in because this hip has worn itself out. Being a breaststroker and a competitive swimmer between the ages of 5 and 20 definitely put a crimp on my style when I'm 60. So I'm replacing the part. I've already replaced one hip twice, but now I'm replacing the right hip, and that should be good. And so I won't be here next Wednesday, but that doesn't mean that you guys are out of my thoughts. You will absolutely be in my thoughts, and I know I'll be in your thoughts
Yes, you will.
on this.
So
Here, Kieran, how are you doing? I know we emailed today because I think that Connie and I are gonna see if we can make sure that One-Eyed Leo gets the AKC for their month of responsible ownership information.
That would be truly amazing, Debbie. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the page I sent this evening. We've added an extra chapter, an extra page to the book.
Oh, wonderful. No, I haven't had a minute, but I will because of the fact that I was trying to catch up with 2 PowerPoints that I'm doing right after surgery. So I have to make sure that they're done before I'm
Yeah.
recovering. But the following week I do 2, so I want to make sure I'm ready to go. So it's gonna be great. So tonight, it's interesting that Kieran comes and tells us about responsible ownership because what we had put up on the website was the fact that when you're trying to get your dog socialized, and Susan is 100% understanding of this, when you get a new dog and you're trying to socialize it during COVID, it was really, really difficult. And Sally and I talked about how our dogs have changed based on how we treated them during COVID. I mean, my Roxy was never someone who didn't say hello to everyone until I didn't let her say hello to anyone during COVID. And now she's sort of suspect and really truly wants to chew up anyone she sees on the road, because obviously the reason my mother held me close during COVID was because these people were unsavory characters and I just should chew on them, which isn't her personality at all. However, it is now. So I think the important thing there is if one of your caregivers is taking care of your dog and they've had a change of personality, you really need to tell them that. And I tell you this because both my dogs had a change of personality. Roxy got very protective of me because of COVID. And Junie got very, I guess you would say, bossy. He got a little bossy. He would absolutely test everyone to see how far he could push you before you said no. And because it was COVID and I didn't have my 4-acre backyard and blah blah blah, I would allow him to get away with little things, which then made him emboldened. I know that's hard to believe that a boy Irish setter would be emboldened, but he was. And he is now out with the handler. And the handler, first of all, said that if anything happened to me, he will take that dog for the rest of its life because he's such a wonderful dog. He plays well with everyone. And really, the only thing he does now is he is a little food guarding, but not to the point where he bites anyone. And I know that Sally may have seen this at my house. I know Gordon did. But every time Roxy would walk by Junie's full bowl of food, because he really never ate ever. He looked like he was from Biafra, and he always had a full bowl of food. But, I don't really want to eat. But if Roxy walked by, there would be this almost imperceptible growl. So she would know that she was not to touch his chow, even though it was right in front of her on the floor. And she wouldn't. It was really great. But our dogs do change. And it makes for a really interesting dynamic now when we're coming out of COVID, because now we have to really re-examine and reevaluate what our dogs can tolerate. So Susan said, I shut the door to the bedroom, and no matter what, Maggie got in, and Sally said, I went out shopping, and the dogs greeted me as if I'd been gone for years. This is the new change for them, and it's just something we have to be aware of and adjust to. And of course, it links to Kieran's responsible dog ownership, because they change every year, even without COVID. Every dog changes how they react to things every year. I know, and I'm sure, Susan, from your last dog, they're fine with thunderstorms, and then they're not. They're fine with the 4th of July, and then they're not. They're fine with the vacuum, and then they're not. So if you have responsible dog ownership, and you have the book that Kieran put out that has you check on everything, and you should check on it over and over, because it shifts and it changes. And really making sure you're responding to your dog's needs is really important. And I think, Kieran, you probably have something to add to that.
Well, I suppose there's two very, very brief things. The first one is there is a page in there on the fact that dogs have personalities, not just names, but personalities. And the other page that we've introduced today is about body language and consent. So, it's just little tips in there, and it's very much in line with the rest of the book, that there's sort of that love story relationship. And the dialogue is sort of between Leo and the parents, and one of the parents says, well, there's nothing wrong with shying away from people that try to pet you if you don't like it. And the parent says, a lot of people I don't like, and I don't like meeting them either. So,
and I don't have the ability to shy away.
Well, I'll put it this way: is that because of the profession you've chosen, Debbie?
It may be.
Sorry, I won't dig further, but I suppose, like dogs are very much like humans, just as they say. There's a lovely Irish joke. Well, what do I call you, sir? Anything you like, but don't call me on a Monday.
In my house, it was, what do I call you? Just don't call me late for dinner.
All right. Ooh.
I have to say, it's so important, the two aspects of the book you pointed out, because it really is about understanding that each dog has its own personality. And I can put up with a lot of stuff, truly, that somebody else would not put up with. And when you're thinking of those 3 caregivers that you're going to put in your MAAP plan, you have to believe, and Sally, you should comment on this, you have to believe that those people are able to put up with those quirks.
Yeah, I absolutely, yeah, I'm with you 100%. And I'm going through, a lot in my life right now with caregiving and calling on the MAAP plan people. And it's like, they understand. I go, I may call you at the last minute and say, I don't need you. And I said, but just respond back to me. You got the message, because I want to know that you're not coming to the house. And then I'll be calling, and I'm on the road. I'm not going to make it. There's a problem here. Could you come in? And they know exactly where the food, what do they eat for dinner? How long do they walk? What if it's hot? What if it's cold? Do we need air conditioning? Do we need heat? So yeah, absolutely. It has to be people you can communicate with clearly in a nanosecond when things just go south.
Yep. And being transparent is key, because when you're asking someone, so Susan, we had this conversation before, and between Junie and his growling and Maggie and her growling and nipping, you really need to tell people. And it's not because, oh, well, I'm not going to take care of Maggie because Maggie's going to bite me. It's just, hey, let them know. And Maggie might look at me if I'm coming in and taking care of her and go, yeah, I'm not nipping this one. This one's going to bite me back. So I'm not nipping this one. But it's good to always let them know, because then you're aware, and you're going to pick people who you have confidence in. You're going to pick people who really want to take care of your dogs. People often ask me, especially attorneys who are making plans for pets in people's wills, which of course, as everyone on this call knows, is not the only place to make your plan for your pet. They go, how much should I put aside? I should put aside 10,000, 20,000. And I said, well, maybe in your will you can do that. I said, but really you only need enough money in your pet trust, and really maybe double that, make half of it in your pet trust, half of it in your will, to transport the dogs or cats or horses or birds or snakes, whatever you have, your reptiles, from point A to point B. Because the people who are taking your pets should be taking them because they are your friends. They love you. They love your dogs. They love your cats. They love your birds. Um, Even the North Shore Animal League only takes $5,000 for you to leave the dog with them, and they'll either rehome it or take care of it for the rest of its life. So you really just simply need to find someone who's willing to take your dog, to transport your dog. You can pay for their gas, you can pay for the first bag of food. But beyond that, if you're unable to take care of your pet for a long period of time, you can either instruct your personal representative to pay Susan money for taking care of your dogs, or Sally money for taking care of your dogs, or they know that this is what you would do for them. It's that quid pro quo, which I always say is really important. So as we are talking about taking responsibility for pets and making sure the people who meet them know them, it really tends to be so impactful and important to have this conversation. And I know that that's what the book that Karen brings out with us all the time and talks about. It spurs that discussion. And Susan, I know that you've talked a few times about calling the breeder and asking for help. And I know it's really uncomfortable, but sometimes that's the best thing to do.
Yeah, I did try emailing her a few times and I didn't get a response. So I'm a little disappointed. I don't quite understand why. I know she's busy. And I don't think she's continuing to breed the dog. I think she's been giving that up. So,
Well, I always say that if you can't get in touch with your breeder, recognize everything happens for a long time, and sometimes emails don't get through, or sometimes I read emails and I
true.
forget.
I should keep trying. I hear you
I
on
think
that.
the best thing is to pick up the phone and call and say,
Yeah.
hi, Susie Smith. This is Susan, and I have the wonderful Maggie, who has a few little quirks that we're working through, but I'd love to get your input on it, and really approach it as a positive matter. Sometimes I'm not one of them, but sometimes when people see people's names come up, they go, oh my God, they want to return the dog. I can't take it back. And you really need to make sure that you put in your email, love to talk to you, have some things that are sort of quirky, and need to know what to do. And these are sometimes I'm free. So Wednesday at 12, Thursday at 3, Friday at 9 a.m. Let me know which one of those would work. And if none of them work, then let me know what times, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, you're free. I find that if I give people dates and times, they tend to pick one. It's
Yeah.
like they feel like they have to, and that's okay, because they should have to. They should have to call someone back who's has one of their dogs. So you give them dates and times. I mean, really make it easy for them to choose, instead of leaving it up in the air and then you get busy and your kids are bothering you or whatever, and you just don't make that call. I know, Sally, that's really important to you, because you said that, I want to be able to call you and ask you to come over, but if I actually make it home, let me know when I text you and say don't need you, that you're not coming, because I would feel terrible if you came and I was standing here. I know that feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, now that I have two dogs, I have one, got a little bit of a feeble person who comes in and is happy to take them out. And I said, I have a suggestion, one at a time.
Yeah.
Leave one dog in, take one dog out, let her relieve herself, and then go back in, take the other one, because the other one is a lot stronger than the first one. They said, oh, thank you. And that resolved that. That was very easy, simple solution.
Yep. I mean, it's something that people think they have to do the same thing you do. And sometimes we write notes that say certain things that make our caregivers uncomfortable, like take both girls for a walk at the same time. Well, they might not feel comfortable doing that. And it's okay. And you can say to them, listen, I get it. And I'd rather you be safe and the dogs be safe than they get, a half-hour walk. So each of them get a 10-15 minute walk, and they're good as long as they go to the bathroom and they get outside to smell the coffee. That's all that we always want. That's why the MAP plan makes it so easy for you to adjust, to make sure you have all the information you need for your pets in a certain place, and to allow the people who are caring for your pets to use their own good judgment. And if they're not using their own good judgment, for you to help them to use their own good judgment, and make them safe and the other pets safe as part of that responsible ownership. Make sure that the people who are caring for your pets aren't going to get hurt and that the pets aren't going to get hurt. It's really fun. So as I wrap up tonight, I want to talk about, if we could, where everyone is in the scheme of things. I know, Kieran, you don't have any pets, so you don't have to make a plan. I'm hoping someone or some people in Tenerife you've talked to and said, please come to the call, and they just aren't coming because they're stinkers, because it's the middle of the night, and I get that. But hopefully there's some people who are going to come. And Susan, I know you've been working really hard on putting together some of the information for Maggie. And I know I sort of sound like a broken record, but I'm just checking in to see if your refrigerator note is there.
It's not, but I'm sorry, Deborah. I have to tell you the truth, but
I'm glad you did.
All of what you're talking about really resonates with me, because Sally, you're talking about your husband not being well right now, and I'm so sorry about that. My husband is not well either, and he's continuing to kind of deteriorate, and it does concern me that I'm kind of letting things go a bit, because I'm sort of waiting to see what happens with Kathy and whether we can get some of the behaviors under control. She walks around the house like she owns the place. I mean, she literally acts like,
you just didn't get the change in title.
Yeah, exactly. She's the boss. She's calling all the shots. And I'm hoping we can get this under some kind of management, and so that I will have the mental freedom to be able to think about that plan, because I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, the only small piece of the plan that I want you to complete before, I guess it's like the 28th of July, because that's when I'll be back, is the note on your refrigerator in case of emergency. Because if you're running out of the house with your husband because there's an emergency, and we're tucking him in our prayers too, having that note on, because I know that your son might not be able to communicate, and may be able to communicate in a way that's effective,
He would.
to care for the dog. So just that sign, and it could be just the breeder's name, even though she's not calling you back. Say, call this woman and tell her that Maggie needs help, and she could come and get it. Or I think you also indicated to us a few weeks ago that there's someone with a Catan nearby you who might also be willing and able to at least come and take care of Maggie in the house, or take Maggie for a little while, so that because we don't have crystal balls. I know that Sally was blindsided by Gordon becoming ill. And so it was sort of like, wow, this is just hitting me in 100 miles an hour in slow motion, because it was like, wait a minute, one day he was fine and the next day he wasn't, over a period of time, but it really escalated. So we really need to know that that's up there, because if you have to drop everything and run to the emergency room, part of responsible ownership that Kieran talks about, having just that simple document on your refrigerator will make a huge difference, because you also should have a document on the refrigerator about who's to call to take your son if somebody has to watch him, if you're taking, even if the ambulance is taking your husband to the hospital, God forbid, or the ambulance is taking you to the hospital, God forbid, so that those people who are coming know that Maggie can stay because there is the neighbor, or there is the breeder, or is there the Catan owner who is going to take the dogs for you. Like Sally said, she really was a little hesitant to take 2 dogs because her caregivers were used to 1 dog, but her caregivers, thankfully, assured her that 2 for the price of 1 was worthwhile and didn't matter to them. And actually, they felt that it might make Athena feel a little safer in the house instead of being alone. So it all worked out. But when that happened, you really, as the pet owner, have to say, okay, I have to find an alternate plan, which I did. But then Sally said no. But you really need to make sure that you put that in writing. And
I couldn't agree more.
So you have to do that before the 28th, Susan. I will come and find you. I know I'm further away now, but Virginia's closer, actually. So I will come and find you. It's just a simple piece of paper with a magnet or some.
No, I know.
Just say, all you need to do. So I'm going to tell you what to put on it. In case of emergency, take Maggie to Susie Smith, her breeder. Here's the telephone number. That's all you have to put on it.
Okay.
And if you can find the Catan woman who lives nearby, put her number on as well. Just make sure you call the Catan woman and say, hey, by the way, I know we spoke a few weeks ago and you have a Catan, but if something happens, my husband is ill or something, can I put your number down that you would at least be a contact? If you can't get her, at least you could call Susie Smith to get her as well, in the event that something happened.
I think I'd be more comfortable putting the breeder down right now, because I do not want her to bite anybody, but the breeder.
But the breeder, let her bite the breeder, because that's okay. And I agree.
Yeah, she's very atypical for this breed of dog. I feel most people would be totally taken aback. Anybody who knows the Catan breed, I think, would be kind of shocked.
Yeah, because that's not their modus operandi. And again, so we are coming full circle on the discussion. How did you socialize your dog during COVID? Maggie came a little before COVID, but most of her teenage years or teenage months were spent on lockdown. And so when we're all feeling anxious and not knowing what's going on.
No, I agree. It's probably that, but I just don't know. I mean, it seems so atypical for this breed.
Well, she might just be a little snotty girl, which they do. There are snotty girls in every breed. I don't care who you are. If you're a breeder, there are snotty girls in every breed and snotty boys. But you really want to make sure that if that's something that you're aware of, that you make your caregivers aware of. And you're right, you should really only call the breeder. But that's the piece of paper on your fridge before I see you on the 28th. So as I wrap up tonight, I want to ask you guys, is there any last thing you want to share with everyone tonight? I know, Kieran, you probably have something to share because we're so grateful you have that book out there. And then I'll go to Sally.
Oh, it was a wonderful day here.
Good.
Just one of those days when everything falls into place.
Those are the days that keep us smiling.
They do. So today was just happened to be one of those.
God bless.
That's another story for another day, but it was.
We'll save that for the 28th, because maybe there'll be more to add on the 28th.
Yes, it was. It's just one of those days when, how would you say it? You just get the feeling everything will continue to work. It's like the whole project has its own life now.
And it's a belief. You believe in it. You believe in it fully. And so there's nothing that can happen except the next logical step.
Yeah, that's a lovely way to put it. Now,
nothing else can happen except the next logical step. And so I'm so grateful to have you here with us on the MAAP call, because you bring such a vibrant energy here and information that everybody needs beside the MAAP plan, how to be a responsible owner and how to find responsible owners. So Sally, what happened to you today that was positive?
I think I'm like Kieran, I'd call it the halcyon days, we just, we have a great time. Everyone is treated equally, and the two dogs are watching one another like hawks, but they realize you get this, you get this, you get this, you get this. And there's a calmness. And, I'm with Karen, we just move forward in a positive attitude.
Absolutely. And I love the pictures because both of them are so relaxed, both dogs, that I just sit there and go, they're like in a coma. They're both like laying on their back, sound asleep, toys right on both sides of their head. It's just amazing. And they're just really wonderful. And so, Susan, last thing, what's a great thing that happened to you this week?
Well, I had sort of a crazy 2 days on Monday and Tuesday, and then today, because yesterday everything that could go wrong seemed to go wrong, but then it ended on a really positive note. So sometimes we don't know why things keep going wrong, but then something good happens.
So you can get to something good and really appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. And then today I just had a very quiet day. We have a sauna in our house, believe it or not.
You have a what?
Sauna.
Oh my God, you went to sauna. We're all going to come visit Susan.
Coming soon.
That's right.
I wish I could put Maggie in the sauna because, yeah, but it's actually a way to detoxify. So that's why we have it. And so I'm really mellow right now.
Good. We're jealous. We're not mellow. So until July 28th, I will be sending my love and encouragement and good wishes to everyone. Both hubbies are tucked in my prayers. Kieran, you're always tucked in my prayers. Susan and Sally, you're always tucked in my prayers. So until 2 weeks from tonight, this is Deborah Hamilton, Hamilton Law and Mediation, the Why Do Pets Matter podcast, and of course, this wonderful MAAP community where we talk about real things that happen to you that you need to plan for. Take care of your pets and give them a kiss for me.